right, welcome to the Jeff Hagee Show. This is Jeff Hagee. I'm excited today to have Josh Frost with me. Josh is a two-time NFR qualifier. He's a bull rider. I've had a number of cowboys on here. This is the first time I've had a roughie. And so I'm excited to get talking with Josh and talking about some of the successes he's had and just his thoughts on a lot of things. I know it's a lot of stuff that he's going to be able to share that's going to be beneficial to our audience. So Josh, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Excited to be here talking to you, Jeff. And Josh Frost, 26 years old. I'm a professional bull rider, and said guess it's all I've ever wanted to be, and kind of grew up in the sport. And since I turned 18, I've been, I guess you'd call it professional, and it's what I do for my living. I travel around across the country to 100 plus rodeos a year, and goal is to be the world champion bull rider. So,
well, it was dang close last year, and so hopefully we see that right soon here, and you're on track to be doing that. So, yeah. So thank you. So I guess to start off, because I'm sure this is a question you get asked a lot. First of all, tell people how you're related to Lane, I guess, and for those that don't know who Lane is.
So I guess to answer the first part, Lane Frost, he was a world champion bull rider in the late 80s, one of the best to ever do it. And he actually got killed by a bull in Cheyenne in 89. And they made a movie about him called 8 Seconds. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. They're actually getting ready to release a pretty big documentary about him here this year. And so I get the question a lot. The Frost last name is very famous in the rodeo industry. There's a lot of family that's been very successful, so got a pretty big legacy to fill the shoes of. But and so Lane's my second cousin. His dad and my grandpa were brothers. So,
all right, okay. Well, thank you. Now let's focus on you. You had an incredible 2021, and you're starting off 2022 just as good. Tell us a little bit before we start getting into some of the mindset and all those sort of things. Just talk about your year in 2021 and how that all worked out for you.
I guess to even give you a little background, it goes the level for my success. It's been, like I said, been a long road, but I made my first NFR in 2019, and I actually went 0 for 10 at the NFR. Dream come true, make the NFR. Like, this is the biggest stage in the world. Worked my whole life for this, and I show up there and I didn't stay on a single bull. So that hurt. And then I come back into the 2020 season, started off pretty good, and I actually get stepped on at Fort Worth, and they had to take out my spleen, part of my pancreas, and it was a pretty bad deal. I lost like 20 pounds, was in the hospital for like 3 weeks, and bounced back from that, still trying to make the NFR in 2020. And coming back from the injury, the first 2 months, it was a little slow. I didn't, I think I only rode 2 or 3 bulls out of like 30. And then was putting in the work, and it clicked. And, I won. I went from 100th in the world to 6th or 17th in the last month and a half of the season. So I'd finished 2020 really strong, and I just, missing the NFR by that much really set, there was a fire burning in there. I wanted to get back. And so 2020 rolled me into 2021, and we had a heck of a year in 2021. I was top 5 in the world pretty much all year long, and got banged up a little bit at the end of 2021, separated my shoulder, and that was, like I said, I was sitting second in the world up until that point, and went into the NFR sitting 5th, but had a good, and showed up at the NFR, actually bucked off my first 2 bulls, and then after that, we got her rolling and ended up winning the average and ended up second in the world.
Hey, athletes and parents of athletes, so much time, money, and effort is put into the physical aspect of your sport to become the best you can be. But the mental game, it's often neglected, and it's just as important as the physical game. In fact, it's usually the differentiator between the good and the great athletes. Come and join me in the Confident Athlete program, where you'll learn to control your confidence, develop a powerful mindset, and unlock your full potential. Go to jeffhagee.com/confidentathlete to find out more. I look forward to seeing you there. Going from that great momentum and stuff, I mean, you've already won over $80,000 this year. You're number 2 in the world right now. What is it that you've been able to do to kind of just keep that momentum going?
That you nailed it. That's kind of my mindset, is momentum. I try to build from everything. You can't put a ceiling on yourself of like, oh, this is, the way I look at it is every bull I get on, it makes me better. So whether I win or get bucked off, I try to take 2 or 3 things that I really like from that ride, 1 or 2 things I want to do better. And it just seems like with that mindset, I've just slowly built and continually and improved, even while we're out there competing. And so when it's going good, it's real easy to build momentum from that because everybody likes winning. And then same thing, I try to keep that mindset if things aren't going good. And it seems like, it only 1 or 2 bulls and I've turned it around, because even though I didn't win or make the whistle, I learned from that experience. And the next time I'm in that scenario, I perform better.
That's awesome. And, I want to see if you'll expand on that a bit, because that's something beyond sport, beyond rodeo. It's just everyday life. It's, when things go wrong, how we learn from it and how we react to it can really spiral in a downward direction, or we can really go and grow from it. I having a bit of rodeo background myself, I know things can go great, then you make a bad draw, or I was a steer wrestler, so miss a steer or whatever, break the barrier. And if you take it wrong, it can just spiral down, and then all of a sudden you're in a slump. So what is your advice to someone, whether it's bull riding, rodeo, another sport, or just anything in life in general, when you do have those bad draws, those things that go wrong, because it is going to happen? How do you deal with that?
The biggest thing, the only thing we can control in life is our attitude. Depending on how something goes, like you can look at it 2 ways. This is going to make me better, or, oh my gosh, I hate my life, this sucks. And it can create a downward spiral really easy. And on what I've noticed a lot with myself, and I think a lot of other people do it, that I've finally realized and caught, is most of the time, especially at this level of bull riding, like I'm doing a lot of things right. Or even steer wrestling, you've been home practicing and you're doing a lot right, and you have one mistake. So all of a sudden you start thinking, oh, I need to change this. I need to do this different. And pretty quick, you're not doing anything right. And that's the big part, whatever it is, whether it's in your daily life or you're competing in a sport, keep doing the things that are working. And if something doesn't go right, you can make a micro adjustment in that area to improve it, but don't throw, the years of hard work out the window just because that one day goes bad and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to start from scratch. I suck.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. I would like to know a little bit, right now you're on the road, you're going hard, and you've probably been going pretty hard since the NFR, and you're going to be going hard until next fall. So talk a bit about growing up, learning to bull ride, all of those things. What does your schedule look like? When do you with bulldoggers, we had our practice pen and stuff. Do you jump on practice bulls, especially when you're going hard? And just kind of talk about those things.
That was kind of a lot of bull riders don't get on practice bulls. It's kind of a dangerous sport, and so some guys are like, if I'm riding.
But that's one thing about steer wrestling. I remember bull riders also always be like, you're jumping off a perfectly good horse. And I said, yeah, but these steers aren't trying to kill us or stomp on us afterwards. Sorry,
I always say the joke that if you think this horse is perfectly good, you hop on him because you don't want to ride this son of a buck to the end of the arena.
Exactly. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're good. But so like I said, yeah, a lot of guys don't get on practice bulls, and I grew up getting on practice bulls. We had good practice bulls. I was very blessed. My dad had set us up for success. We had good practice bulls at the house. Well, 20, 21 years old, nobody else is getting on practice bulls, and I'm a professional. I don't need to practice. And, I wasn't accomplishing my goals. And so I kind of sat down and reevaluated, like, okay, like what can I do different? And I'm like, you know what? Like if I'm healthy and I'm home, the only way I can get better at riding bulls is by getting on bulls. And so, since 2018, I've been pretty heavy. If I'm home, getting on practice bulls, especially in the, we technically don't have an off season, but your October through January, it slows down. And same thing kind of April and May, right before the summer run. And so them times when I'm home and I've got a full week off, I dang sure am running in them practice bulls. And it's helped. It helps me stay in shape. And the mindset helps me, and I've gotten better because of it. And like this time of year, the schedule's grueling. We've been, like I said, I've been gone since the 30th of January. And for the most part, like I said, I've had 1 or 2 days off here and there, but getting on a lot of bulls, and I'm actually going to be home next week. And, there's a point in time, that's where I said, if you're healthy, if you're banged up and sore, sometimes you're better to take care of your body and come back feeling fresh as of going home and pounding it harder. And so,
right. What do you think, like you're saying, there's a lot of guys that aren't getting on those practice bulls. It was something that you did to kind of get you back where you wanted to be. I remember I did an interview with Tyson Durfee, and he talked about when he was younger, the work he put in, the practice in the practice pen, all those things made him feel like he had the attitude that, I know I'm working harder than everyone else. I deserve this. Does that, knowing that you've been doing that extra, does that help you with your confidence and everything?
Oh yeah. The confidence in bull riding is huge. At the end of the day, we all know how to ride bulls. I know how to ride bulls, but for me, like when I've got days off, I look at it, you got to fill your confidence bucket. So for me, going home, and even if it's cold outside or I don't want to, if I run in that, I get up in the morning and I'll get my practice bull in, I'll feed so that he's not full when I get on him. And I wake up and I set that on the schedule, regardless of what the weather is. Tuesday, I'm getting on practice bulls, and I go and make myself get in that mental zone, dominate my practice bull. And it's, it helps physically because it's, a lot of the times them practice bulls are easy. Like it's slowed down, but I go through the whole process. I get all my stuff ready. I get on, dominate, and then roll from there. And it's amazing. The timing keeps me physically in shape. And then just the mental part, which that rolls over to being on the road. There's day you just drove 12 hours. You don't want to do it. And then I look back to that, when I'm home, worked all day and it was cold outside and didn't want to get on my practice bull, but I made myself get in that zone and get on and practice. And it's really rolled over into my performance in the arena, being able to tap into that place I need to be successful.
Do you have any other things that you do to help with your confidence, with help with your performance, visualization, self-talk, those sort of things?
Yeah, all those things are really huge. I've really dove through my career. I've been on, at one point I was getting on a lot of practice bulls, and then I was like, I need to start working out. And it's like, I need to read more mental health, mental books. And the biggest thing I've found, it's all three. Once I started getting on practice bulls, working out every day, and then studying the mental side and hitting on the mental side, that's the visualization, the self-talk. Like it's crazy how important that stuff is. And as I've studied and dove into that and like noticed the little things that I've, say during the day and switched them, or really being, it's actually hard work being attentive of your thoughts during the week of like, hey, that's not productive. I need to replace that with a positive thought. And as I became aware of that and really started, it really started working at it, it's helped a lot.
One of the things I like to talk with people about is what I call proximity is power, and the people you surround yourself with. And I mean, I know from your family to people you're traveling with to your college rodeo coach, you've surrounded yourself with some amazing people. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Whether they say iron sharpens iron, and it's, you need to align yourself with people that have the same goals as you, because, if you're saying you want to be a world champion and then your traveling partner's out getting drunk every night, everybody has those days where you don't feel like doing the work. And if you're with somebody else that's wanting to go get drunk. You're like, let's just go out to the bar instead of go to the gym. And this last year was a really good, I grew up with a good family, super supportive. My older brother was super successful, and he kind of, about when I started really doing good, he ended up, he retired. And so I've kind of been on my own since then, but it was, you got to be in your own lane and do the work. And that was kind of what happened to me. I was working hard. You could tell that I was wanting to be successful. And Sage Kimsey, 7-time world champion, he actually messaged me, and I've known Sage for 10 years, and like never it came up, hey, like we weren't best friends, but he was, there's a reason he's successful. He knows if he surrounds himself with people that are good, it's going to make him better. And so he messaged me wanting to rodeo last year, and we end up number 1 and 2 in the world. And so it was cool to see all the hard work that I'd been putting in, that, someone like that noticed it and wanted, which, because for me, like, that was a dream come true, because that's, who else would you want to travel with than the best guy going? And he could see that I was doing, my goals aligned with his. And like I said, we went together all last summer, and said it, you seen it at the NFR and you see it this year. We've been 1 and 2 in the world all year. So
yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. Talk a little bit about Robert Etbauer.
That was a rodeo coach, OPSU. That was one of the reasons I went there. And he's old school cowboy, but he's big on the hard work. If you work hard, you're going to see results. And he leads by example. You would never know he was a 2-time world champion, because he gets up, if the sun's up, Robert's up working, and until the sun goes down, he isn't going inside. That's, as a rodeo coach, he was ranching, running cows, running rope and shoots. Like I said, he was never missed an opportunity to be there to help the kids. And that was, the biggest thing I learned from him was the importance of hard work. And if that the basics of your mental confidence or mental focus and confidence comes from putting the work in and the practice pen. And if you get in and do the hard work, you're gonna have success in the arena. It's inevitable if you're putting in the work.
Awesome. So whether it's, this could really apply to someone that wants to start a business, someone that wants to become a basketball player, whatever. But if you were talking to a younger kid that says, I want to be a bull rider, what kind of advice would you give them?
Learn the basics, go to a school. At the end of the day, it's honestly, whether it's a business, basketball, or bull riding, you've got to know the basic skill to be successful. And so go somewhere to set yourself up for success, so that you can learn the basics. And then from there, you can pound them basics. And then, being physically fit and mentally tough is all great. But if you don't know the basics of bull riding, you're not going to be able to ride a bull. And, I think it kind of goes in with the work smarter, not harder. Is you can put in all the work in the world, but if you're doing it wrong, you're not going to have success. And so the very beginning, you need to learn the basics and then build from there, because that's the most important part.
What would you say? There's thousands of bull riders. There's thousands of cowboys, and there's thousands that don't make the finals. There's thousands that are putting in the work every day, doing all the right things. What separates the elite from the rest?
I think honestly, just the people that are willing to get better, which I know that sounds simple in theory, but like, everybody's at a different level. Everybody's got a different natural talent base. Some guys got to work harder than others. And that was, I'd studied that quite a bit, because, I was 24 before I made my first NFR, and I tried for 3 years. And there was a lot of guys, I know guys that ended up 16th in the world 3 years in a row, and then just dropped off the face of the earth. And then I know other guys that were 16th 2-3 years in a row and then make the NFR 5 times in a row. And so I really got to looking like what sets them guys apart that weren't accomplishing their goals. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, like that guy's got better. And that's at the end of the day, like you gotta do something different. If what you're doing is not working, you need to sit back, reevaluate, like, okay, here's my weaknesses. This is where I need to get stronger, and just continually build. And you see it in all the events. There'll be somebody that's in, and that's what's hard is you're like, oh, Sage Kimsey doesn't get on practice bulls. I don't need to get on practice bulls. And well, I did need to get on practice bulls because I had tried doing what he was doing and it didn't work. And for me, getting on practice bulls worked. And everybody's path to success is different. And so it's important to be able to evaluate yourself and be like, hey, like, I'm working hard. Could I be working harder? Or what do I need to be doing different that's going to help me get to where I want to be?
I had someone recently ask me to speak at an event. It was a business event. And they wanted me to speak on fear because they said, a guy that'll jump off horses can probably speak on this subject. Talk about, your first bull ride. How do you overcome that fear? And I'm sure, well, tell us about it. What's it like now? You're getting on a bull that wants to stomp on you.
I've definitely got a better handle on that than my first bull. Even growing up in the sport, every time you step up a level, it's like, holy cow. Like, I remember riding Holstein calves and it's like, I would just got that level dominated. And it's like, now you move up an age division. Now I'm getting on a steer that has horns. But I was addicted already. So like it was, I was easy to get over the fear because that was, I guess that was my identity was I'm a bull rider. This is my event. And I'm, was super competitive and was working hard. But the bull riding part of it now, like you very much, there's a respect for the animal. Like I'm aware of that my job is dangerous. And that's partially why I take it so serious. Like I don't take it lightly. Whenever I nod my head, I'm 100% in the zone and ready, because if I'm doing my job, I'm going to be successful and be relatively safer than if I'm just getting on like, oh, this is no big deal. But the big part with it's faith, you got it, which that's where the hard work comes in prior to that. If you're putting in the work, you've got to have faith in your abilities and, it is scary, but you've got to let fear is the enemy. It doesn't help. It doesn't bring anything productive. And so you've got to learn to let that go and believe in yourself. And, there's times it is scary, especially at this level, big money, you're riding in the short round and stuff like that. You're your own greatest enemy. And so you've got to learn to conquer your mind to be able to be successful in those scenarios where the fear or pressure starts sneaking in. And that's kind of, we talked earlier about controlling your thoughts and stuff. And if it's not productive, get it out of there.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about rodeo itself. What's your favorite rodeo?
Probably San Antone. I've had partially because I've had a lot of success there, but love going to San Antone. I'm hard because I love rodeo. That's part of why I do what I do. Like it's a crazy job. We travel all over the place and it's the grueling mentally and physically the travel part. But that's what's so cool about it is to know that I can drive 12 hours and be tired and get out and be like, okay, can I do my job today and still be able to perform at that level? I mean, in the summer, we'll go to 90 rodeos in 100 days. Some days we'll go to 2 a day. And it's crazy when you think about it or when you explain it to people what we actually do. But I love it. It's part of the challenge and part of the thrill, I guess.
Well, and that's, you look at just what you've been to recently, San Antonio, Houston, all those, Austin. I mean, just those 3 rodeos, how many bulls did you get on?
I've been on, you just said I don't even know the count. I'll bet in the month of February, I've probably been on close to 25, because that's even if a lot of these bigger rodeos will ride there multiple times. And so, San Antonio, I got on 5 there, got on 6 at Houston and fixing to get on 3 at Austin, and that's 15 bulls right there. But those days off, I was in, I rode in Houston short round Saturday night, got up at 3:30, flew to Montgomery, Alabama, competed there 2:00 in the afternoon, flew back to Austin. And so
that's awesome.
Been on a pile of them.
And by the time you guys hear this, he'll have won the final round at Austin as well. We're just putting that out there right now. What's your highest score ever been?
92.5.
And you almost met that in Houston the other day.
I did. Yeah, I was 90 there, and said I was 92.5 at the 10th round of the NFR, and then I won Denver this year and was 92.5 there again. So
awesome. All right. Now, I don't know this story, but it's one that I want to know. I want to know the time that your brother and Dixon tied you to a tree when you were little.
That's I guess if I always joke around, that's partially I guess why I'm so tough, or part of the, I don't have a temper. I used to as a kid, and the reason is Joe and all his brothers, they used to pester me so bad, and I would get so mad, and my mom and dad, just ignore them, and as I'm sitting there tied to a tree, and I was just the little brother that wanted to hang out with Joe and all of his cool friends, and they liked me, but they also didn't want little brother following them around all the time. It was that. I think that was part of the fun for them, was knowing how bad I wanted to hang out with them and then not letting me. And sometimes it took tying me to a tree so they could go do their own thing.
I was talking to Wendy the other day, and she said, ask him this story. So no, thank you. So right now, when we're recording this, you've won a little over 80,000 for this season. How much will it take to make the NFR?
Probably 80 to 90,000. It's hard in the bull riding. Most of the other events, they've kind of got a number like, hey, if we win 70,000, we're in. And it just seems like, up until 2020, it took more money every year to make the NFR in the bull riding. And then COVID hit and the number dropped. And then last year we were relatively full schedule, but still had some stuff canceled. And I think it took 90,000 last year. And so it will be roughly that this year. So we're looking good at for surely making the NFR, but it's kind of cool to see the shift from my goal to making the NFR to winning the world. And if you're trying to win the world, you shouldn't be worried about 15th place.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. You can go into the summer already knowing where you're standing and aim for that bigger goal. That's really cool. For our listeners that don't know, you see all the things about bull riding and rodeo and stuff. I guess explain a bit what's the difference between pro rodeo, PBR, all those sort of things.
So like the main difference is rodeo has all the events. Don't know if any, if you haven't ever been to a rodeo, go check one out if you're a fan of the Western lifestyle, or you want to go see an extreme sport, because all the events are pretty crazy. But you get that a lot, even being a PRCA cowboy, which that we're professional. We go, when are you going to go pro? When are you going to go to the PBR? And pretty much the only difference is the PBR is just bull riding. And so they very much appeal to the bull riding audience, and they consistently get on. We get on the same bulls, the same level of bulls, but they only get on the good ones. Whereas, we go to some smaller rodeos where you've got bulls that, are 80-point bulls that they wouldn't take the PBR. And so it's, expect once you get to the NFR, every bull at the NFR is going to have been a bull that's been to the PBR events. And money wise, it's just a personal preference. Honestly, they both pay really good. I won more money last year than everybody in the PBR, but the top two guys. And so it's just depends on how much. Most of the PBR guys don't like traveling as much, so they can go to one event, they'll ride there for 3 days, 2 or 3 days, and then they go home, be home all week, and then go again the next weekend. Whereas we'll ride in one place today and then traveling to the next town and going across the country. So, and
just to put that into perspective for our listeners, in 2021, Josh's winnings were little over 363,000. So that puts it in perspective. And what about a little over 150 of that was at the NFR? Is that right?
Yeah, 221,000 in 10 days at Vegas.
Oh, is that how much? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
Over half of it. And I guess to put it in perspective, like say Sage Kimsey, he won 220,000 during the regular season. So he had a $90,000 lead going into the finals. But if you can ride consistent all year, the money's extremely good during the regular season also. And even, for like I said, I won 150,000 during the regular season and then had a good finals. But, the big goal is making that NFR because, you can make good money during the regular season, but you go have a good 10 days, it's kind of borderline life-changing money. There's not many things you can do for 10 days and get out there with 200,000+.
And hopefully still walking after those 10 days.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the business side of it. Do you have sponsors? Talk that part about it.
I guess I do have two sponsors. I'm Wrangler, Lane Frost brand, and it's not, they kind of cut me flat rate check at the beginning of the year. It's not a large sum of money yet. And it's kind of, the sponsors in bull riding is hard because when you need sponsors, you don't get any because you're not riding good. And then the more success you have, that's when the sponsors start coming. And so I'm getting more experience with that aspect just after this last NFR, people reaching out and picking up more stuff. But at the end of the day, the business part of it is a lot of people don't understand how complex it is for, we pay for everything, fuel, flights, gas, entry, and we can pay an entry fee. So every rodeo we compete at, we'll be paying $120 to $220 to sign up for the event. And we enter ourselves. So they send out, a list of rodeos. We get to pick our own schedule, which is one of the cool parts about it. But so we figure out which rodeos we want to go to, and there'll be a date. Hey, entries open from this time to this time, and you got to enter. And if you miss the entries, you don't get to go. And so it's a lot of planning and forethought ahead of time, and also at the end of the day too, this is my job, and so you've got to look and be like, hey, I could win $1,000 at this rodeo, but it's going to cost me $1,300 to get there. And so at the end of the day, it's like, okay, that's not feasible. Like, I'm supposed to be making money, and so takes a little creativity and planning ahead of time, especially with flights and stuff, to be like, hey, if I buy this flight 3 weeks early, it's only going to cost me $300. But if I wait till 3 days before, it's going to cost me $1,000. And so the scheduling part is a lot more complex than a lot of people realize. And it's partially one of the things, I'm pretty good at it. And so that's one of the things that's helped me be successful is I've took the time to learn and plan ahead of time so that I can get to more events than everybody and still be making money doing it.
Who are you traveling with this winter?
I've been going with a kid from South Dakota named Chance Shaw. And then this summer, he was just a rookie last year. Chance was, and rode really good. And he kind of asked me was wanting to go with somebody that'd been going down the road. And I'm going to go with Sage again this summer, but Sage actually had his first baby here in February, and he lives in Texas too. So for him, like most of our rodeos in the winter are 2 hours from his house. So he wouldn't have been the best traveling partner this winter. And so it worked out pretty good for me getting to go with Chance. We've been going to everything, kind of flying in and meeting, splitting rental cars. And he lives here close to Texas too. So he's been able to pick me up at the airport, and we went together. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, no, I really appreciate you spending this time and sharing your knowledge and background and everything. Like I had mentioned to you before we started the recording, I like to use this from the entrepreneurial standpoint with the people I work with, but also with those in my Confident Athlete program, because there's so much you can learn from the people that have reached that level of eliteness that have overcome a lot of the things that they're all trying to do. So I really appreciate that. Any last things you want to talk about? Let's talk about where people find you and social media, websites, anything you've got that you want to share with us.
I guess on the social media, check me out. I'm on Instagram's kind of where I'm most prominent. Josh Frost 16. I post all my rides there, my schedule most of the time, and very prominent there. And then, like I said, I'm on Facebook. I just, prefer you follow me on Instagram. So, and then I guess the only other thing I'd say, for your confident athlete stuff, confident athlete or anybody you're helping with this, anybody can be successful. Like it's crazy because you look and you're like, oh man, look at Sage. Like I could never be that good. He puts his pants on the same way you did. I grew up as a kid thinking, man, it's scary to see how far you need to go, but we're just regular guys that put in the work. And, I don't feel any different now than I did when I was 16 years old, but I'm the same person, but there's a million hours of blood, sweat, and tears in between there that's made, that I've learned from and improved from. And so it's, I guess, cool to see that and, see the success I've been having and just be like, it's attainable for anybody just because you always see the 18, 19-year-old phenom that comes out. You're like, holy cow, like this isn't even fair, but it's, your path is going to be different than everybody else's. But if you put in the work, there's no time limit for you. Just go be successful.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Josh. That's great advice and really appreciate your time. Good luck tonight in Austin and the rest of the season.
You bet. It's great talking to you, Jeff.
All righty. Thank you. Let me just 1 second. Just do that for editing so I know where it ended.
Perfect.
No, that was awesome. Thank you. That was really cool. I'm going to see if they can get it edited pretty soon. It'll probably be next week that this comes out, but I'll shoot you a link and everything.
Heck yeah. Cool.
All righty. Well, good luck. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you and nice talking to you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Why do some people succeed at all levels beyond their imagination while others struggle? The mind is the key to your success. Even the best strategy won't matter without the right mindset to implement it. For those who desire to be great, to do amazing things, and have an impact on the world, the Bigger Future Coaching Program is designed to take your life and your business to another level. If you're ready to make big commitments, be held accountable, and develop the success mindsets that'll take you beyond your dreams, join us today. Find out more at jeffhagee.com/group coaching. Hey, some of you may know this, but in addition to my coaching, I've recently joined Geneva Financial Home Loans, a mortgage lender headquartered in Chandler, Arizona, as a mortgage loan originator. I've always had a passion for serving others, and now I'm proud to also be a part of Home Loans Powered by Humans. If you're in the state of Arizona and looking to take the next step in your journey, contact me at 801-830-3858 to start the conversation. NMLS number 42056, BK number 0910215, Equal Opportunity Lender.